One, and we're here. Yeah, we're late. We're late. People are wondering what's going on with the podcast. The podcast is late today, as a matter of fact, and other issues too. We can't quite. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, children of all ages, welcome to Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich. We are coming to you 30 minutes late today, an entire 30 minutes late. We apologize, or apologize if you want to say it properly. There was a reason, and it was kind of a cool reason, and I didn't realize it would go as long as it did, and it was fine. I was a judge of something called Comedy Triage with the Big Pine Comedy Festival. The Big Pine Comedy Festival is a festival that's put together by local promoters and comedic artists, improv players. It's going on a few years now in Arizona, and usually it's done up in Flagstaff, and they just have a great time doing it. This year, they did it all online, and they asked me if I would be interested in being not so much a judge, but giving input on comics who I assume paid them because they're part of their festival. Give them input to help them improve their sets. And I saw some really great, talented artists. I also got to say, I'm really, really impressed. Really, really impressed by so many people in the comedy industry. I don't even like using that term, comedy industry, because it's not a monolith. There's not a hiring hall. We don't all hang out at the same bar and that sort of thing. It's really kind of an unregulated, big mess of people who just go, I would like to do this. But so many people have found a way to keep something going during this tumultuous time. And the people putting together the Big Pine Comedy Fest found a way to do it online. Comics are participating. We were able to have a really fun afternoon. I'm going to give special thanks to Gene Moore and Ernesto Ortiz, who had put together this particular portion of the Big Pine Comedy Fest. I also want to give a shout out to the other judges, although I don't think we were judges. We were just there to help. We weren't judging anything. We were just trying to help these young comics, or give them input. And it was cool because they wanted input, and that's why they signed up for this particular portion of the festival. So also shout out to the other judges, Christopher Royer, Dan Hall, Stan Chen, the Comedy Medics, which is a podcast. There might have been a couple others, and I apologize if I'm missing any names and you see this in the future. So that's why we're late. But we're here now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here now. I'm zooming myself to death, I think. This is true. What I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. Yesterday, this was my day starting at 4 p.m. First up, I was with you guys from 2 to 2:30. Then I took a nap. Cheryl, did I take a nap, or what did I eat? White Castles? No one can remember. We're also super dingy here at the house. Shirley and I are, because we have Ray. Ray the cat has a new name, okay? Because it can't just be Ray the cat. It's Ray. But you got to have a full name. And I'd given him a bad name earlier, and Shirley sat me down and goes, this will give him a stigma, like a boy named Sue. You cannot continue calling him this. And he's now Ray the Wonder Cat. Ray the Wonder Cat, because he is a miracle, and he's alive, and he's becoming more and more alive each and every day. We got one dog who is a little sick, and we're taking care of. So we got a cat that Shirley has to wake up every 3 hours and feed, and a sick dog that has a cough. And we're not getting much sleep. We're dingy yet undeterred. With all of that, and with us putting together the podcast yesterday and all the other things that we do, here was my day starting at 4 p.m. yesterday. At 4 p.m., I was on a Zoom call with some very talented people who happen to work with me in my workshop, or were in my workshop: Abhinav Goyal, DJ Payne, Travis Miner, Shale Brenner, Will Flanagan. They're putting together their own comedy news parody show, and they've worked really hard on it. So I was kind of watching that, overseeing it, while being on another Zoom call with a bunch of writers from Los Angeles writing political messaging in an emergency editing meeting. Doing both of those at the same time. Then having to just be able to do one in the car while I was listening in. Got all the way to JP's Comedy Club, 860 East Warner Road, Gilbert, Arizona, where we had the grand opening last night, the inaugural show. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. And I had a beginning workshop to teach at 6 p.m. So found a back room at JP, set up, taught the beginning class, walked out of the beginning class, hung around, watched some very funny comics on the JP show, including Jim Perry himself, and then headlined the show and had a wing-dang doodle of a time. I actually was on dual Zoom meetings. One was not a Zoom meeting. One was a different platform. But, it's all Zoom to me. You know what? It's all Zoom to me. So those are crazy days. So I don't know if I am finding ways to invigorate myself and fill my time with creativity, or if I'm massively codependent and don't know how to say no to anyone. Time will tell. I think they'll put that on my tombstone. Guy couldn't say no. You couldn't say no. If you asked him, he had to say yes. That was his problem. That was his problem in life. And also his benefit. Anyway, man, I got a great show for you today. If you've watched this show before, you know what this show is all about. This show comes to you on 3 platforms. They are ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com, which is strictly audio. But it's our flagship, something that about 5-6 years ago now, we were on terrestrial radio, and we were done with that. And I Shirley asked me, he goes, what do you want to do? I go, I want my own radio show where I can do what I want. If it's going to be free or if we hire advertisers, great. And she disappeared to another room and totally built ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com online. So we had that. So and there's great interviews housed there. You can listen to them with comics, famous comics, comics that Jerry. Yeah, I know. Jerry Vicich says, Cheryl, I don't want to cause a problem here. We don't like to cause a conflict because this is your daily reprieve from all the anger, anxiety, weirdness, and hoopla in the world today. But Jerry says that he likes Dumpster Cat. Jerry, it's funny, but, it's like anything, as a writer, I know that writing is not writing, it's rewriting, it's editing, and I'm going for a mainstream audience. I'm going so everybody can enjoy the cat. And those of you that are following this show, and the show's going to be on for a long time, and you're going to follow the progression of Ray from the time that Shirley found him, where he'd been tossed in the trash, like a piece of trash, which is horrible. Then fished him out and brought him home. You're going to follow his life like little Ricky Nelson on the Ozzie and Harriet show. You're going to follow it. Okay? And so for a mainstream audience, Jerry, we're going with Wonder Cat. What the hell was I talking about right before that? I totally lost track.
Podcasts.
Oh, yeah. So we got ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. You can listen there. YouTube Comedy Schools channel. Hello, YouTube people. How are you? And, of course, here on Facebook Live. We come to you on 3 platforms. The show is built around 3 things. It is built around questions and comments from you, the audience. And maybe people calling in on the phone. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore.
I don't have my phone.
Huh?
I don't have my phone.
No, and then I got my, let me tell you who's in the room today. My wife, Shirley, who happened to be producing the show. My dog, Chica, who's 8 pounds of fun. My dog, Roscoe, who's half lab and half pit. Mostly lab if you don't like pits. And my grandson, Sullivan. Sullivan, you want to come over and stick your head up here and say hi? This is Sullivan. Sullivan and I went for our walk today. You can see him on YouTube. You can see, there you go. That's Sullivan. Okay, my partner in crime. We have been for a walk. We have had breakfast. We had pancakes. And we also got a little swimming in, too. We had a pretty good time. He and I were able to go up to visit Steve the Tree. If you don't know who Steve the Tree is, I don't blame you. But here in Maricopa Meadows, where we live, there's one old growth tree left when they developed this place. And we have a disc golf course here on at Maricopa Meadows, which is pretty cool. Even though I don't play, I just think it's cool. I like to watch them play. And they'd hung a disc golf basket from the tree. Sullivan, I don't know where he is now, talks to the tree and tells you what the tree says. And one time about a year ago, he told me, he goes, that tree says, get that thing off of me. It hurts me. And even though I'm vice president of my homeowner association, I'll tell you something about the wheels of government. They work slowly, but we finally were able to get the basket out of the tree. And we went to visit Steve, and Steve is pleased. So that's who's in the room with me here. The show is built on 3 things: your questions and comments. It's also based on my senseless, nonsensical rambles. your questions and comments on one of the aforementioned social media sites, some knick-knack or doodad or souvenir or autograph we have laying around the home office. And then I recommend 2 pieces of music from my vast and deep vinyl album collection and my CD collection. We're now entering the CD era. My brother Jerry just asked, did you see the photos David Herring sent? Yes, Jerry, I did. And I'm going to put them up on Facebook. And I will just say this. They're pictures of Jerry and I and some friends of ours from back in 1985 at a Grateful Dead show in Ventura, California. Jerry, you were a good-looking son of a bitch. So we're going to put those up later on Facebook. And I think I put them up under the title, Time, Time, Time. Look what you've done to me. If you're young, man, eat it up. Eat it up. Okay? I don't mind being who I am or what I am now. I'm loving every minute of it. But if you're young, eat it up because it will change. Let's get to the stuff. There's Sullivan again on YouTube. There's only one thing to talk about right now as far as memorabilia, and that is, thank you, Sullivan, the Tony Vicich bobblehead. There you go. I got a shout out today. I'm proud to say. Got a shout out today. There it is. Now, this one I'm keeping because you can see there's a certain damage in the name there. But there's a couple others. This is the Tony Vicich bobblehead. People say it doesn't look like me. But if I held it right like that, you wouldn't be able to tell if it was me, my actual face, or not. You wouldn't be able to tell if it's me or not. Now, this bobblehead has no ponytail, but now no longer do I because I got a haircut the other day. Saturday night. And by the way, Abhinav Goyal, I already gave a shout out about your project on the show. You just came in late. Abhinav Goyal showing up late. Who knew? For those you don't know, Abhinav Goyal is a comic who I hire and work with a lot. Very funny guy. He's creating a project right now. We all joke around about the fact that Abhinav has no regular job and yet is always late for everything that we do. Saturday night, 7 p.m. show, JP's Comedy Club, 860 East Warner Road, Gilbert, Arizona. We're going to have a raffle. One lucky person is going to win one of only 3 in the entire world Tony Vicich bobbleheads. One of only 3 in the world.
You said 2 last time you were on.
Well, yeah, but there's 3. They sent us an extra one. It cost me a lot of money to have this done. Some lucky person is going to win it. So if you have a chance to be at JP's Comedy Club Saturday night, you might be the winner of a rare, damn near one of its kind bobblehead and start your own bobblehead rescue, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a question, though, I have for my audience, and you can answer this. Okay? Take your time. You can answer it now. We will never make another bobblehead exactly like this. That is, Paul Whitney says, finally, a fact checker. I will never make an exact bobblehead like this again because I'm giving one away as a rare bobblehead. But what we're thinking about doing, because there seems to be a demand, okay? We want to know from you, our audience, if we made a different Tony Vicich bobblehead and I autographed them, would you buy them? Because because I know there's this demand for bobbleheads. I know since I've started, I didn't start this show talking about bobbleheads. That's not what the show was about. The show was never about that. We started showing you autographs we had and little in our collection of underground comics, and talking about records and music and stuff. But we had a bunch of bobbleheads. And then, what are you bringing over to me here?
He started talking about them.
Yes, I started talking about them. And there is Curly from the Three Stooges right there. We started talking about them. There was a good response to them. And then we started getting some more like little knick-knack stores, some of the few stores that were open during the pandemic at the time.
Walgreens.
What's that?
I mean, not Walgreens. We got most of these.
I got most of them at. Where did I get them, Sullivan? Goodwill. There, the secret is out. The secret is out. Okay? And now we've got about 50 bobbleheads.
Well, maybe some people actually saw you buying them, so I guess.
Do you think some people saw me buying them?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But we have the bobbleheads now. Okay? And now The bobbleheads have become a subject of conversation. People accuse me of being a collector. I'm not a collector. I rescue bobbleheads. That's what I do.
Like cats.
Yeah, like cats. We rescue cats and bobbleheads. We rescue cats from dumpsters and bobbleheads from Goodwill. That's what we do. Anyway, we're thinking about making a limited run, rare, new Tony Vicich autographed bobblehead. Because there were people going, I want that bobblehead. I want it. Something about bobbleheads, man, isn't it? You just see one go, I want it. Give me that bobblehead. I need that. Let's get a bobblehead. So I'll keep you informed, ladies and gentlemen, as to whether we are going to have a limited run special, different from the original, but still an autographed Tony Vicich bobblehead. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. Abhinav Goyal says, will you be raising the bobbleheads as you do rescued cats? Yes, we're going to love them and take care of them, and we're going to feed them. We're going to feed them kibbles and bits. Is that dog food?
And newspaper.
And newspaper. No, we're not going to feed the bobbleheads newspaper. Sullivan said we're going to feed. We are not. I haven't watched the news today. I don't know what's going on in the world. I mean, I know what's going on in the world. I don't know what the latest outrage or weirdness is.
I ate the paper.
Sullivan eats the paper.
I ate one of them.
Okay. But I'm going to tell you what I don't know what's going on in the world today, but I know what'll be going on in the world tonight. This will be the first time in ages that I have done 2 shows in a single night. So tonight and Saturday night, I'm going to be doing 2 shows at JP's Comedy Club. I had such a great time there last night. We had a great audience, about 40 people. Safe, social distance seating, everyone wearing masks, plenty of extra masks around in case someone's broke or they lost theirs, plenty of hand sanitizer, good social distancing, and we had a great time doing a live comedy show. I've done maybe 3 or 4 of these since the pandemic started. We had a wonderful time. Great comics on that show last night. Hold on, Sullivan. We're doing 2 more tonight, 2 more Saturday. If you're in the greater Phoenix area and you go, I'd like to go out, okay, I'm still a little wary, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all if you're a little wary. But if you have the need to go out, if you feel that you can go out and practice safe social distancing with us and still have a good time, we're going to be at JP's Comedy Club tonight, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Tickets only $15. Get them by going to jpscomedyclub.com. And you'll be able to hang out and see Jim Perry and I and some great local Phoenix comics. Sullivan, my grandson had his hand up. Did you have a question, Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your question, sir? Hold on.
Do not swear anymore because sometimes there could be kids on here.
Did I swear on the show?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just been informed, not only is Sullivan the fact checker, he's also doing quality control, which is good, not to swear on the show anymore because there could be kids watching. You're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm always okay because I've played violent games.
And he's always okay because he's played violent games.
And I've never repeated it.
And he's never repeated it. Okay.
Hold on.
All right. Let me finish up the show here.
Okay.
I think there. All right, good. That's what I got for
I'm going to be making check marks.
Inappropriate language. You're going to make check marks every time I use a bad word?
Every time you swear.
Every time I swear. Sullivan's not going to do check marks. Somebody else used to years ago. When my daughter Alicia was little, when she was a little kid, I used to run a booking agency out of my house. I had a home office like I do now. And I'd be on the phone, just this, that, the other, arguing, negotiating with managers and agents and stuff. And she said it wasn't right I do that and I need to stop. I said, all right. I says, I'm going to give you 50 cents every time I say a curse word. And she would sit outside my home office. And she was a little younger than Sullivan is right now. And I'd be talking, I'd be negotiating. You know what? I'm not paying that for that guy. You know what? And no, he doesn't get the 5-star hotel. You son of a da. And here go 50 cents. And keep talking to you $1.50. And a lot of times when I was negotiating a deal with an agent or a manager or another organization, By the time I was done with the negotiation, I had saved money on the act or the artist or the venue, but had lost money on the conversation. And now I got another one telling me he's going to be making check marks every time I curse.
And
if
I do it, and if you swear 5 times, you get me lunch.
I'll get you lunch. I get you lunch anyway.
But you get, instead of 50 cents, $5.
No, not $5.
Well, because there's so much. It's live. It's a live stream. It's not like anybody else on the phone.
All right.
Fine, let's just narrow it down to $1.
We got to get to the music.
Yes, we
50 cents. You just make the check marks. Dang. Dang's not a swear word.
I know.
Dang. Let's get to the music. What are you going to recommend today? Usually it's 2 artists or 2 albums that we recommend. Today, we're what we did yesterday, and we're going to do it today. We had one yesterday, so cool. I want to keep recommending. Nuggets, choice artifacts from the first psychedelic era. There it is. Just YouTube that, and you really get to capture it's kind of like surf music. It was only around for a short period of time, psychedelic music, only around for a short period of time, but made a major impact and had a unique sound that'll never be replicated. Let's go with this today. Now, this is 1985, A Year in the Life. I know that it shows it backwards because we got a mirror image on Facebook. But this is a group of CDs I started buying years ago. And this ran from the plan was to have them all the way through every one of them. It ran from 1950 all the way up to 1989. I didn't do that, but I got a lot of great years. 1985 is a very special year to me. Very special year to me because that's the year that I got sober and my new life began. And these were the hits in 1985. Starship, We Built This City. We built this city. And by the way, that song, We Built This City on Rock and Roll by Starship, is oftentimes on a list of the worst worst songs of the rock era of all time. It always makes that list, and it's a pretty lousy song. It was a very popular song. We built this city on rock and roll. And it was the most un-rock and roll song. It had Grace Slick. It had... not Mickey Hart. What was his name? Because later on he sang with Elvin Bishop Group. He was with Starship for a while. And it was kind of a weird thing to experience at the time because Starship was a progression, but actually a de-evolution in many of our mind's eyes from the original Jefferson Airplane. Jerry Vicich also said, because that Dead show, we're going to put those pictures up. Jerry and I, The Dead in 1985. Said, you were newly sober at the Dead show. I think I was drunk. I think you were. I think it was a hell of a show when we think back on it. Without getting into too many details. I don't think that counts as a swear word. I don't think that word counts as a swear.
Hold on.
What? Okay.
Just say apple juice. It's not that hard.
All right. Apple juice? It was an apple juice of a show?
Okay, then.
How about a heck of a show?
Yeah.
All right, it was a heck of a show.
But.
Okay. But there we go. Because I could end up with brain damage. Anyway, Starship, Jefferson Airplane was such an adventuresome. They were part of creating the San Francisco sound. The psychedelic sound we talked about earlier was kind of an offshoot of the San Francisco sound, which was an authentic and audacious and boldly experimental sound. I would almost say it was separate from psychedelic music. Psychedelic music was almost derivative of what the Dead and the Airplane and Quicksilver and Big Brother and other bands in San Francisco were doing. They were such a wonderful band, and then they became such a pop-ish band. And I think by the time they were just Starship, the only original members possibly was Grace Slick, maybe Marty Balin, who the greatest song by Jefferson Starship was Marty's Miracles. So anyway, We Built This City is on this album. Paul Young's Every Time You Go Away, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's a love ballad, done by a British pretty boy, but man, it's good. Then Philip Bailey and Phil Collins do an Easy Lover. It's a terrible song. Don't listen to it. Till Tuesday had their haunting song Voices Carry. That was in 1985. REO Speedwagon, who I never liked. Never liked REO Speedwagon, but they did. They were always like they were an opening band for so many bands when I was a kid going to Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri to see bands, and you had to sit through REO Speedwagon. And they had a couple of good rock songs, but later on they started coming out with these pop hits and Can't Fight This Feeling, just total syrup. Dead or Alive had You Spin Me Round, which was kind of disco-y. Tina Marie, Lover Girl, another disco-y song. And then the Hooters doing something that was kind of one of those transitional songs. It wasn't power pop, it wasn't what those guys were doing. And We Dance was just a great, great, great infectious pop tune. Kate Bush doing Running Up That Hill. I don't know that song. And the song on here that I'm going to recommend, besides, this will be the song that I recommend from A Year in a Life, 1985. I'm going to recommend Power Station doing Get It On, Bang a Gong. Power Station doing Get It On, Bang a Gong. So who were Power Station and why am I recommending the song? First off, it's a great version of a song that was part of a kind of a new musical trend in the early 70s, which was the beginning of glam rock, T-Rex being a one of the forerunners of that. And T-Rex, Mark Bolan and T-Rex, had a big hit with Bang a Gong. And then years later, in 1985, a group called Power Station redid it and also had a monster hit with it. Power Station was an interesting band. It was an interesting band because it was two members of Duran Duran, John and Andy Taylor. By the way, not related. I think there's another Taylor in Duran Duran. None of them related. Just happen to be English. Not a lot of diversity in last names. The English. John and Andy Taylor with Robert Palmer singing lead. So it was kind of a super group. And they had a huge hit with Bang a Gong. And it's a great version of it. Great version of it. So the interesting thing about Power Station in that song, they had a couple other hits, is that then they were just some guys getting together to make some music, do something different than what they had been doing. The songs were just big hits. The record companies wanted to do a tour. Robert Palmer had insisted, the Addicted to Love, and Bad Case of Loving You guy, great, great singer, fun to listen to, always great, fun pop songs, said, I said I'm not touring, and would not tour. It would not tour at all. So they had to hire someone else to be the lead singer to tour. And that guy told me a great story. The guy who got hired to be the lead singer for Power Station on their tour because Robert Palmer wouldn't tour. And he told me one of those stories that always stayed with me. And without meaning to give me life advice, gave me some great life advice. Okay? Besides the fact that later on in life, I became good friends for a number of years with John Taylor of Duran Duran. Okay? And he's a wonderful guy, a very humble, intelligent, thoughtful, interesting man. Okay? Great father, great bass player. He does YouTube bass guitar lessons now just to keep himself busy because they can't tour, get together to make records and stuff. John Taylor became a friend of mine. Got to hang out with him. Robert Palmer was great with Vinegar Joe. Yes, he was. But I've got a story that I will tell you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will tell you the story of the touring lead singer for Power Station and what he told me that has always stayed with me and has always been great advice. Anyway, that's the show for today. Look, I want to thank you. My doppelganger thanks you. My grandson Sullivan thanks you. Come on in here all the way in. There we go. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow around 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with a whole new version of this show. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, giving away the Tony Vicich bobblehead. Get your tickets, jpcomedyclub.com. Be back tomorrow. Thank you for listening in today. Thank you for indulging us as we came on late today, but we were doing some cool stuff. That's it. That's the show. You get to hear the rest of the story tomorrow. Tune in for it. Don't miss it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Goodbye, YouTubers.
And